welcome everybody. Welcome to Bharat Marg. हमारा साथ डॉक्टर आदित्यन हैं जो geopolitical expert हैं, and you will be seeing that he is the president of ICHRRF, okay, and the chairperson also, and they did a huge protest. Okay, मैं तो आपका वीडियो देख रहा था डॉक्टर आदित्यन जी, मैं एकदम चकित हो गया. आजकल बच्चे बच्चे लज्जित होते हैं बाहर जाने के लिए, ऐसा काम करने के लिए. आप सक्सेसफुल डॉक्टर भी हैं, you are a very successful person in any stretched measures, but you know what, you went there and you protested for the Hindu community. I want to salute you for what you did, and we will go through much in detail on it. But before, friends, I'm going to show the video. You are going to see it. And the community in America, okay, the community in America is fighting against the sleeping Hindu rights, who the so-called the flag bearers, okay, who are keeping silent and keeping quiet against what is happening in Bangladesh, just because they are not Abrahamic or whatever reason. Dr. Adityanjee will say it. But before going further, please make sure to like the video, comment on the video, friends, share the video with as many people as you can, because we need to spread this message. This is a coordinated effort, and to eliminate Hindus, and we have to do whatever we have to do to make sure, bring up the awareness and save our fellow brothers and sisters, friends. Okay, to please share it, and also subscribe to the channel Bharat Marg if you didn't already, and also press the notification button, bell, and stay connected to us. Okay, Dr. Adityanjee, welcome, sir. Welcome to Bharat Marg.
Thank you, Sundar Bhai, for inviting me again on your platform, and I am pleased to be here to clarify the issues about persecution of Hindu minority in Bangladesh following army-inspired coup and army-inspired and installed interim government.
Along with your protest, we will first focus on the protest, Dr. Adityanjee. I also want to go through what PM Modi has spoken today from the rampart of Red Fort, where he said there are efforts from the vested interest to destabilize the countries around Bharat. Okay, I want you to cover that also in the due course of time. But let's dive into your protest, sir. I just want to show this video for the people. Okay, I am just saying you, I saw this video, I got goosebumps. Here is a successful doctor, friends. Okay, see here. Okay, what he is doing for you and me.
International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom. International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom gives the voice to the voiceless, gives the voice to the persecuted, the marginalized, oppressed communities. But today, I'm not speaking as Adityanjee. I'm not speaking as a Republican. I'm not speaking as a Democrat. I'm speaking as a Bangladeshi Hindu. And today, we all are Bangladeshi Hindus. We stand with Bangladeshi Hindus. Yes. As a human rights organization, we do have a track record of monitoring countries for their human rights violation. And in year 2022, ICHRRF conducted a special hearing on human rights violation in Bangladesh that's available in the form of a book, and we are not going to continue to stay silent. As we speak this evening, International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom will come out with a press release and a charter of demands. And that charter has 10 demands. It's going to be a little bit laborious, but I will read the charter so that you know what we are dealing with. The ICHRRF Board of Directors makes the following demands of the United States government and the international community. Number one, immediately.
Please share it with us.
So first thing is that the protest was organized by an organization called CONA, Coalition of Hindus of North America, Cleveland, Ohio, at a place called Public Square, where usually demonstrations are held. I was invited there and I went there. I represented my organization, which is called International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom, ICHRRF. RRF is a United States registered non-profit
My name is
organization.
Adityanjee. I'm the president of the.
Yeah, please continue. We'll put it at the end. Yeah.
So we monitor human rights situation and issues about religious freedom. And in that particular video, I did mention that we had conducted a special hearing on Bangladesh human rights violation in 2022. This special hearing, was chaired by a legal luminary and jurist, Professor Ved P. Nanda. And in that hearings, we had testimonies from a number of Bangladeshi citizens, residents in Bangladesh or living abroad, and they all testified, and we gathered material and we published it in form of a book. This happened in 2022 following attacks on Hindu temples in Bangladesh on the festival of Vijayadashmi in 2021 October. So we have been monitoring Bangladesh since 1947, when it was part of Pakistan as East Pakistan. Hindus have been persecuted there. In 1971, there was a civil war in this part of Pakistan following election of Awami League as the majority party. At that time, Pakistani army actually butchered almost 3 million people. Most of them were Bangladeshi Hindus. Thousands of Bangladeshi Hindu women were raped, tortured, taken as sex slaves to West Pakistan. After liberation of Bangladesh, one hoped that situation will improve, but that has not improved. There have been a number of military coups in that particular country, and the latest coup happened in the beginning of August following a so-called student agitation. The student had agitated because somebody resuscitated a case about reservation for the children of freedom fighters. The government had already actually abrogated that reservation, but I think it was almost like a conspiracy that somehow this issue was brought forth before the High Court of Bangladesh and it restored the quota. And this led to a so-called student agitation, which was exploited by jihadi forces, especially Jamaat-e-Islami and Bangladesh National Party. Now, during this agitation, situation got out of hand, and there were some students who were killed or the agitators who were killed. So there were street protests. Ultimately, the Supreme Court of Bangladesh intervened and they basically made 93% of the seats open. So there was no reason why the agitation should have continued, but it continued because of vested political interests. Now, people do say that there are external forces operating in Bangladesh, and they are mainly in three directions. One is from China. China has been a major player in Bangladesh. They have invested very heavily in Bangladesh, and they were unhappy that during recent visit to China, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh visited actually India first before going to China. So China was unhappy, and China has a naval base in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. They've been selling arms and all that sort of thing. So China may have instigated some elements within Bangladesh. The second is that Islamic jihadi parties like Jamaat-e-Islami, which was banned, was very active in this agitation, and they were the ones who were creating massacres and violence against Hindus. They supported by BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party. uh, they were being agents of Pakistan's ISI. So they were fomenting troubles for this thing, for their own reasons, because they never liked the quote unquote, broadly speaking, somewhat secular government of Awami League. But the third serious issue is that it has been alleged that there was regime change operation that was started by some agencies based in United States, and this is reflected in continuous critique of Bangladeshi Prime Minister by US agencies, White House, Secretary of State, because they were making allegations that she is not democratic enough, she is authoritarian.
Dr. Adityanjee, are you being soft on the Biden Harris administration on this butcher?
Uh,
Means, let me ask you honestly.
I'm not being soft, I am being objective. I am basically talking about
Means
all the.
everybody knows the external affairs ministry's gentleman who was talking today, he was laughing at the situation of Bangladesh, and these guys, you are just giving a clean sheet for them.
No, I'm not giving a clean sheet for them. You did not let me continue. There's a
Okay.
series of events that have happened over the last 1 year. In June of 2023, there was a summit of democracy organized by the White House in United States. Now, lo and behold, who are the invitees? Most of them are democracies. From Indian subcontinent, which countries were invited? India was invited. India is a democracy. They invited Pakistan, which has been, um, most of his existence has been under dictatorship of the army. Pakistan was invited, Bangladesh was not invited because it was not considered democratic enough. Now, the State Department and its agencies have been making noises that the government of Sheikh Hasina Wajid was not democratic enough, they
Okay.
were authoritarian, and the most recent election in January 7th, 2024, were not quote unquote free and fair. Now, you have to imagine that the opposition party, BNP, refused to participate in the election. Now, if you refuse to participate in the election because you know that you will be defeated, and then you make a hue and cry that the elections, the opposition parties were not allowed to participate, that's not true. They ran away from the elections. Hasina Wajid came back for the fourth time as prime minister, and this was not acceptable to United States. Now, let me, before you raise an issue, let me make one more observation. In May of 2024, in an official meeting, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh openly stated that there is a conspiracy for regime change, and that conspiracy is coming from a big country. And she had also stated that she might be assassinated or she might be toppled by a military coup. All these things have been in public record. She also made at a different time a statement that a white man from a big country came before the elections and said that we want a base in St. Martin's Island. If you allow us to have a base, and if you allow a Christian country to be carved out of some districts of Bangladesh and Myanmar, we will have no problem you coming back as fourth time prime minister. Now, the allegations are made that this white man from a big country was Donald Lu, who is Assistant Secretary of State for South Asia. There were also visits to Bangladesh prior to election by another luminary of State Department. Her name, she is retired now. Her name is Victoria Nuland. She is basically known as quote unquote regime change specialist. So there was involvement
Means,
of the.
you know what, Dr. Adityanji, let me say you something. Okay, the country which is prosecuting the opposition leader, that is the Republican Party nominee, Okay, who is being prosecuted there, who is being butchered in the name of justice and other things. Okay, no, who no justice is being weaponized there. How do you feel they coming and saying, oh, you know what, you didn't have a fair election, oh, you know what, you didn't have a fair election? How do you see this?
Sundarbhai, I'm not going to delve into domestic politics of United States. I had a human rights organization called International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom. So we do not delve into domestic
No, no,
politics.
I mean, so I am not diving into domestic, but the thing is,
Let
you,
I will portray the evidence which is consistent, which is historical,
okay.
saying that from 1971 onwards, in 1971 there was a Republican administration headed by Richard Nixon, and the Secretary of State, and prior to being Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor was Henry Kissinger. Both of them at that time, from a Republican administration, had supported military
No,
dictatorship of Yahya.
absolutely. See, I am neither for Republican nor for Democratic. But the thing is, these
Also,
this
also, the fact is that United States at that time sent seventh aircraft carrier fleet enterprise into Bay of Bengal to threaten and intimidate India, so India would not liberate Bangladesh. The point I am making that United States, as a colonialist or neo-colonialist Western imperialist power, has consistently opposed democratic and secular elements in Bangladesh and have hobnobbed with Islamist jihadist elements. It does not matter whether it's a democratic administration or a republican administration. I'm not going to go into their internal issues, but as a human rights organization, I'm trying to tell you that United States does not have a stellar record of supporting democracies abroad. Most of the time it has supported authoritarian leaders or military dictatorship while championing the cause of democracy. So there's a saying in my mother tongue, which is Hindi, Chirag Tale Andhera. Those who are preaching democracy to the others are actually in cahoot, in bed with authoritarian leaders. This is nothing new. This has happened since the end of Second World War, that United States has really exploited the concept of democracy without supporting democracy abroad.
means, how do you see the current administration? Absolutely, there is, it's not under the table or anything. They have their blood on the hand. There
Well,
is no question about it.
and that's why we have demanded that the it's irony that the day military inspired coup was announced, the State Department makes an announcement that they are canceling the visa of Sheikh Hasina Wajid. So, ordinarily, if you are a supporter of democracy and in a democratic country, a democratically elected prime minister is ousted in a military coup, your sympathy would be with whom? The coup plotters or
No.
with the democratic elect?
See, America has a habit of going behind the lies and deceit, like they did behind Saddam Hussein on the thing of going for what do you call the nuclear chemical weapons, etc.
Weapons of mass destruction that were not there, and at that time it was a Republican administration.
Yeah, yeah, no matter what, these guys are same. You are absolutely right.
So I'm not going to go into domestic politics or presidential elections of United States, but I am
No,
saying
but the only reason I said that is justice is being weaponized in their own country. That's
uh,
what I want to say.
I don't want to comment on domestic situation of United States. I'm saying that a number of serial United States administrations, whichever party is in power, have infringed the sovereignty of other countries, interfered in the internal affairs of those countries, have participated in or supported military coups, and that continues to happen even today.
Okay, now how do you see little bit ahead? Okay, the Hindus were butchered. Okay, and you have seen so many videos, but these guys have no mercy at all. For this, for a child being there on the photographed video in Syria, they were doing the whole hangama, and here in Gaza, same thing. But for the butchering of the Hindus, they don't have absolutely no sympathy.
So first thing is that it's not that Hindus were butchered. Hindus are being butchered as we speak. As
Yes.
we speak right now, it has not stopped. It will require intervention by international community to stop the interim government of Bangladesh, which is installed by the military coup, which is headed by a person who is supposed to have connections with deep state, who is propped up by
Oh,
from
who got a Nobel Prize?
after lobbying, not because of merit, after lobbying. And his Grameen Bank was exploiting poor people of
You
Bangladesh
know,
by
uh,
charging 20 to
you
45
know the
percentage.
irony is even Obama got it for Nobel Prize for peace. So you know,
We know the story about Nobel Peace Prize. It's a political consideration on which it is given. So we have a situation that State Department of United States denies, their involvement in military coup. They are on the wrong side of the history because they are supporting terrorist jihadi elements in that country,
the,
and they
the,
don't know what they are doing because they supported initially the ISIS.
Dr. Adityanjee, you are a geo specialist. Okay, you please say me, is it new? They have given billions and billions of dollars worth of war equipments to Taliban in Afghanistan. Okay, they have mistakenly transferred more than hundreds of $1 million to Taliban. Is it new for them not supporting jihadis?
Look, they have supported jihadi elements everywhere, and the result of that they are facing. In Pakistan, they always supported military dictatorships. They never accepted that there was terrorism fostered by Pakistan across the border in India. They were supporting Taliban initially in Afghanistan and propping up Taliban, against the Soviet inspired, government in Afghanistan, which was a progressive government, which was a secular government. And ultimately, the same Taliban became, you know, uh, sort of monster, Dr. Jekyll versus Mr. Hyde, or a Frankenstein monster. And that same Taliban gave shelter to Osama bin Laden, who attacked United States and downed the World Trade Center. So their short-sighted actions actually come to bite them, and they are doing the same thing. They have never learned a lesson from the history.
No, no, they don't learn because they don't care. Because I have a theory which you may not agree. They don't even consider Brown as human being. Okay, is my thinking on it. Okay, because no matter how many people get butchered, they will not say anything. Because see, their goal is to prop up the Khalistani elements, prop up the jihadi elements against the Bharat to break Bharat.
So it's a question of, double standards, deception, treachery, all those techniques being employed to continue to dominate the world as the only superpower. And that's the reality. The concept of human rights is brought, the concept of democracy is brought in a very obtuse manner. Actually, these concepts have been weaponized for their own convenience, but they do not realize how big a mistake they are doing. They are creating another
They
Talibana
don't care.
country
They
in
don't care. It's thousands of miles away from them. They don't care. They want to destroy India. That's their motive.
they did not care about Afghanistan. What happened? What was the result?
Okay.
Both Afghanistan and Bangladesh are in Indian subcontinent. In any in any terrorist attack, in any jihadi terrorist attack, there is involvement of terrorists based in Pakistan. And Pakistan's ISI is supporting the Islamist Jamaat-e-Islami in Bangladesh, Bangladesh Nationalist Party. So you have three elements: China, Pakistan, and United States working towards converting Bangladesh into a jihadi territory.
Yeah, means it was. Otherwise, how do you butcher the priest of Iskon temple who was feeding you? And
Temples
hang
are
him.
being burned. Temples are being burned. Uh, Priests have been, hung upside down. Uh, Women have been butchered and raped, and unspeakable, despicable crimes have been done. And United States does not see all that.
Oh, they
Yes.
don't. They don't care. They don't care.
Then,
They don't care. And I just have a question for you, Dr. Adityanjee.
yes.
Now moving away from it. Okay, moving away from it. After doing denying the visa, how do you see Modi government and Bharat opening the doors for Sheikh Hasina? How do you see that?
Well, India has a tradition of giving shelter to persecuted. There's nothing new in it. India has always sheltered the persecuted people. India was the only country where Jews came from the West Asia when they were persecuted there for centuries, and they were given shelter. They became part of India's, civil society. Similarly, Parsis came to India after advent of Islam in West Asia, when Iran or Persia was overthrown. Uh,
The,
you know,
absolutely,
uh,
absolutely, you are right.
India has a tradition of giving shelter, and since Sheikh Hasina wanted shelter, India gave the shelter.
My question is a little bit away from it. My question is, here is the U.S. government which is actively involved in the coup, okay,
Yeah.
in regime change, and whereas in Bharat it's giving shelter to the toppled leader. How do you see the conflict of position? That's my question, to put it
Well,
precisely.
on this particular issue,
And what kind of effect it will have?
India has to do what India has to do. It was incumbent upon India to give shelter to Sheikh Hasina because she had been friend to India, and even if she had not been friend to India, Bangladesh is a neighboring country. Anything happens in Bangladesh has immediate effect on Bharat. And considering our democratic credentials, if a democratically elected prime minister is toppled, what is Bharat supposed to do? Deny the right to shelter?
Yeah, they did. UK denied, America denied. Canada didn't even ask about Canada.
So that shows the hypocrisy.
The
That
so-called I-5,
that shows the
5I, 5I,
Five I is an Anglo-Saxon alliance, Western Anglo-Saxon alliance,
all of them denied.
and issue is that they just only pay lip service to democracy. India has been an independent country. India has always had strategic independence and strategic autonomy, and India will do what is good for India, not what is good for United States or UK or Canada or Australia.
Okay, absolutely. My little bit away from this now. Another question to you. That is, I know I'm going over time. Okay, but let me ask you when you are talking on the subject, if you don't mind. A couple of questions that I should be done. Okay, how do you see the failed attempt by George Soros and gang to topple Modi government? And
Well,
now,
so you have to see that Western agencies have tried to supplement physical colonization by any other means. So in World Economic Forum, I think it was in 2021, George Soros went and said that he wants to change Modi government and he was going to spend even $100 billion in, supporting the people who were opposite Modi government, you know, so that, their objectives are fulfilled. They tried their level best. India had elections. Modi came back as the prime minister again for the third time. Yes, with somewhat reduced majority, but nevertheless, he is the prime minister. But I want to show you the trend. They also toppled a democratically elected prime minister in Pakistan, Imran Khan,
Mhm.
and they tried to do it in Bharat, and they have been successful in doing in Bangladesh. So it's not just Bharat, they are trying to destabilize the entire region for their own geopolitical purposes.
Absolutely. Now, do you think now what is a possibility? My last question to you: the Indian government will stand and watch, or you think that will act on Bangladesh? Because I'm hearing the I'm hearing that there could be a Hindu Bangladesh that will be carved out, whereas America wants a Christian Bangladesh to be carved out. How do you see this progressing from here on?
Okay, so under United Nations General Assembly, a doctrine was passed, and that is called R2P. R2P doctrine is responsibility to protect. So, if in any country the government is not able to control genocide of the civilian population, other countries have responsibility to intervene and protect the minorities that are being massacred or under attack, or they are being, subject to ethnic cleansing or genocide. So, United Nations General Assembly had passed this resolution several years ago, the R2P doctrine, and India, as a neighboring country, as a democracy, has every right to intervene if India determines, if Indian government determines that there's a genocide going on, and the government, the interim government, which is in control of the territory, is not taking any actions to prevent this genocide, then under international law, India has the duty and obligation to intervene and uphold the rights of the minorities that are being oppressed, killed, butchered, massacred. So the legal situation is very, very clear at this point in time. And this is not the first time India has taken an interventionist course. India did intervene in an ongoing genocide of Bengali Hindus in 1971 when India sent the army into erstwhile East Pakistan, helped Mukti Wahini and led to independence of Bangladesh. Similarly, India intervened in Maldives in 1988 when mercenaries were called and a democratically elected president was attempted to be toppled. India sent a tri-service command of 1,400 armed forces personnel who went to Maldives, arrested these mercenaries, and reinstalled the democratically elected president of Maldives. So India has duty to intervene, duty to protect the minorities in Bangladesh. It will be for Indian government to make a determination, and it will be for interim government of Bangladesh to control the violence, ongoing violence, control the atrocities. If they fail to do that, India would be within its own rights.
No, no, no. Do you think India will have a military action? Do you think it is on the table?
Look, I don't speak for government of India. I speak for my own organization. I am just telling you what is the humanitarian law, what is the international law. If Indian government were to intervene, Indian government would be fully supported by R2P doctrine, which is the international law. So the onus lies, the responsibility lies on the military installed government, which is interim government in Bangladesh, to stop all those atrocities, to stop, seize the massacre of Hindus, seize the sexual atrocities on women immediately. If this continues for long, I am pretty sure, as a distant political observer, there will be pressure on the government in India to take some action because there is, from press reports, a lot of unhappiness in India's civil society also. It's not that India civil society is not speaking. I am seeing the reports. There is unhappiness about what is happening in Bangladesh, and a time may come when there is so much of pressure on Modi government that the government may have to intervene to stop the massacre.
Absolutely. Dr. Adityanjee, you are coming just out of the protest. I just want to take 30 seconds to 45 seconds and talk to the UN and the flag bearers of the so-called flag bearers of the human rights and on about the Bangladesh issue and about the Hindus, the status of whatever you have in your mind. Last last minute, sir.
So we released our charter of demands in which we have made uh, demands which are very open. We demand that a free and fair election be done under international supervision in next 90 days. We don't want military government or an illegitimately installed interim government to continue what they are doing now. So if international community has its ears and eyes open, whether it is United Nations, whether it is UNHCR, whether it is European Council or EU, European Council of Human Rights, all of them have duty to make sure that the massacre, genocide stops, free and fair elections are held, multi-party elections are held in which all the parties are allowed to participate, not just the Islamist parties, even secular Awami League is allowed to participate. And if they come back to power again, they should be allowed to form the government so that interests of the minorities in that country are upheld. That is the duty of international community. We also demand that United Nations immediately cease participation by Bangladesh armed forces in the international peacekeeping operations, and any payment that is due to Bangladesh government by United Nations for peacekeeping operations should be immediately suspended. The funds should be frozen and they should be used for rehabilitation, recovery, and sustenance of the oppressed community, which is Hindu community. The temples have been burned, children have lost their parents, mothers have lost their daughters. All this has done. So it will require some compensation, not just rehabilitation. And that's the duty of international community. That is the duty also of United States. United States has been sending money to Ukraine for fostering and continuing a war. United States has been sending money to Gaza. Why cannot United States send money to Bangladesh for compensation, rehabilitation, and sustenance of Hindu minority in Bangladesh? That's the question.
Absolutely. Friends, what do you think? I just want to applaud Dr. Adityanjee and his organization for standing for we Hindus, folks. And we had to get onto the road. There is no question about it. And that's what Dr. Adityanjee had done. And you want to say something, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
As International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom, we speak for all the oppressed minorities, where all the marginalized sections of the society. We don't speak for one religion. Personally, I am a Hindu by faith, and I am not just speaking as a Hindu. We have protested against persecution of Yazidis in that 2023 Parliament of World Religions. We had conducted a symposium highlighting uh, genocide of Yazidis in 21st century by the ISIS, and international community did not do anything at that.
Dr. Adityanji, this is exactly what we are talking about. There is a when it happens, attack. Whatever you say, you are a very very polished speaker. You can talk. But I represent my community. Okay, so I talk. Yehudis are who are Yehudis? There is a clear divide between Abrahamic and non-Abrahamic. When the butchering happening in non-Abrahamic, these guys don't care.
We have supported the Ramuva religion in Lithuania that is officially persecuted. We have supported the cause of the Kurdish minorities in 4 or 5 Middle Eastern countries. So we have protested against persecution of Uyghurs in China. We have stood along with the Falun Gong practitioners in China where organ harvesting is being done. So the point I'm making is that ICHRRF not just speaks for Hindu minorities, ICHRRF speaks for humanity in the entire world wherever there is a persecution. We have talked about persecution of the native religions and native people in Guatemala, in Colombia. So we keep our eyes and ears open all over the world, whether that is Native American community in Canada, the First Nations of Canada, how the children were abducted, their unnamed graves were there in the schools, in the residential schools. We have talked about, genocide of Native Americans in United States. So we are not a Hindu organization. We are not speaking just for Hindus. ICHRRF speaks for all the world minorities wherever they are being persecuted.
Absolutely. I applaud you for that. Okay. With the questions I asked you from Bharat Marg, some of them are our own ideology. Okay. That's not yours, essentially speaking. Okay. Because you talk or what your organization represents. We are so happy that you came here and shared your thoughts on our platform. But you know what, friends? We had to stand up and get out if we want to save the non-Abrahamic thing. That's my thing. Yes, sir. Last word.
Last word is that I will exhort all the viewers, your audience, to go to ICHRRF website, www.ichrrf.org. Read the uh, read the press release, the 10 demands that we are making, essentially to international community, United Nations, EU, United States, other Western governments that have power to make the change. Stop persecuting Hindu minorities in Bangladesh. Stop assisting the military of Bangladesh to terrorize its own population, and do the right thing. Otherwise, the history will not forgive them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Adityanjee, for coming in and pouring your heart out. And not only that, standing for the community that is being oppressed and abused, and but all the efforts are being done to eliminate. Okay, thank you for what you did. Appreciate it. Okay, looking forward to seeing you again. Till then, Jai Sri Ram. Friends, comment and show your support also in the video and share as much as you can. And Dr. Adityanjee's organization is here. You can Google it. I have shown you in the screen in the this thing, what do you call in the screen. Now we are showing the organization, the press release, etc. You can go to the website and see it, and also support him in any endeavor, friends, because you know why. He is fighting for the many of the hidden genocides, unknown genocides, things like that, and we have to support him in any which way we can. And I want to assure Dr. Adityanjee, Bharat Marg is on your side. Okay, we will do whatever we can to stand with you and make sure we work with you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. ICHRRF is organizing a convention on forgotten genocides in George Mason University on September 23rd, Monday. Please come and attend that symposium.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Looking forward to seeing you. Till then, Jai Sri Ram. Jai Jai Sri Ram. We will see you in the next video, friends.